10 affordable overland rigs for less than $10,000? Stay tuned and find out. Welcome back to Nomad Overland, everybody. My name is Ben, and here is another top 10 video for you. That's right. Before I get into that, however, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of the new subscribers on the channel. We've gone from 383 up to almost 900 at the time of this recording. So, wow, this is great. Keep it up, guys. Thank you so much. And if there's anything that you would like me to talk about, drop a comment down below and I'll see what I can do for you. All right, here we go. Now, one of the things that makes overlanding so great is having a vehicle that is good enough to get where you want to go. But the problem is that some of those vehicles are really, really expensive, and they actually knock a lot of people out of overlanding just because of that. Can we actually afford $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 to spend on a vehicle? To buy the vehicle, to kit it out? No, of course not. I certainly can't. I am what you might say a thrifty overlander, I think, because I just don't have that kind of cash laying around. If I did, this video would be very, very different, no doubt. Oh, one can dream, right? Before we get to the video on the top 10 vehicles for under $10,000, what I thought I would do first is to actually just go through very quickly some of the things that you should be looking for when purchasing an overland vehicle for $10,000 or less. That way it gives you a sense of what is going in. Here's some of the things that I would recommend. And I've got my list right over here. Well, actually it's this way, right, because my monitor is here, but then you're seeing it here. So, okay, there we go, right. We've got that sorted. Number one thing that you can do before you buy a used vehicle is to make sure you check the vehicle history. Now, if you are in the US or Canada, you can use Carfax, you can use AutoCheck, and this will give you all of the information about the vehicle. Accident reports, the title statuses, does it have service records listed? Are there any liens against the vehicle? Things that you might want to know financially before you put your money down. Now, these are not particularly expensive to do, but they could save you thousands if you don't do it properly first. So you have your eyes in a vehicle, you check it out, go to Carfax, great way of doing it, okay? Number two, when you are purchasing privately or even from the dealer, make sure you ask for all available service records that they have. And that way you can look at maintenance schedules to see, for example, have they kept up oil changes regularly every 5,000 to 7,000 miles, for example, just for example, right? This will be maintenance records of fluid changes, timing belt changes, transmission services, suspension, engine work. You know what I'm talking about, right? But having those service records are a way of demonstrating whether or not the people who have owned the vehicle or the person who has owned the vehicle has properly maintained it. Now, it's not as important to have the vehicle serviced at like a authorized dealer. So if you take the vehicle and it's a Ford, is all the maintenance done by a Ford mechanic? Maybe, maybe not. The matter is it regularly serviced? That's the important aspect, okay? All right, number three, the third thing that you should, the third thing that you should be looking at is check oil stickers, right? Usually they're up on the driver's side, upper corner there, and they will list when the oil was last changed, and then you can compare that to the actual mileage on the odometer, okay? Now these will be given to you by certified dealers, Jiffy Lube, Valvoline, those sorts of places. Any car manufacturer, Chevrolet, Toyota, Kia, Land Rover, etc., Jeep, all of them will have that sticker and put that up in the driver's eye line so that you know when the next oil change service. So that is a little thing for you to actually check out, okay? If that sticker is not present, what you can do is check the service records, because sometimes they'll just write it in there, okay? Or you can go to you can ask the person where they have done the oil changes, and you can go to that specific location, and via the license plate or the VIN number, you can have that information given to you, okay? So that's going to be on their computers. All right, number 4, review the owner's manual and service books, because some of them will have a space in the book where the maintenance staff will actually sign and date and actually write down what it is that they have done. So that way you can see what has been done. It's just another way for you to double check to make sure that the vehicle has been serviced. Number 5, one of the things you can do is go to a mechanic that you know, preferably a mechanic that you know, for something called a PPI, or a pre-purchase inspection. And this, if you're looking for a vehicle that is overlanding and off-road capable, you can go to a specific 4x4 specialist to have them take a look at the vehicle. And they're going to look for any kind of potential issues with the vehicle itself, rust check, suspension, differential fluid, transfer case leaks, timing belts, all of that sort of thing, they will look at for you. And basically tell them, look, I would like to buy this vehicle, but I need to know whether or not it is mechanically sound, and should I purchase it, in your opinion, as a mechanic? And what future things are coming down the way 10,000 kilometers from now, 20,000 kilometers from now, 50,000 kilometers? What sorts of things should I be looking at for maintenance on the vehicle over the long term? Okay, so that's another thing that you can ask them, and it would be very important to do so. Okay, number 6, run the VIN number through a dealership. So let's say you're going to buy, let's say you're going to buy an old Jeep, okay? You can take that Jeep to a Jeep dealer. They can run the VIN number specifically. It can be any, as far as I know, it can be any Jeep dealer, and that dealer will give you kind of the history of the vehicle, because everything will be tied to that VIN number, okay? So that is another one. And this will be for Toyota, Jeep, Nissan, Ford dealerships can pull service records if the vehicle was serviced at one of their locations. So again, if you know that the person you're buying it from has had the services done at X dealership, you can go to that dealership to double check, okay? All right. Number 7, the last thing before we get into our top 10 here is check for aftermarket modifications done to the vehicle and anything that would indicate signs of abuse or wear and tear. So obviously a vehicle that is going to be a few years old is going to have natural wear and tear on the vehicle. That's fine. It's no problem. But things like suspension components that aren't quite sitting properly, maybe frame rust, like significant frame rust, improper wiring for accessories, like things that you open up the engine and the wiring is just all over the place. That's a sign of it being done in a very amateurish sort of way. You also might want to look at the skid plates. So if they do have skid plates, get underneath the vehicle and look at the skid plates. See what kind of damage the skid plates have taken. If they are relatively clean, I mean not full of large dents and huge scratches, you'll probably be okay. But the one thing is, skid plates can hide leaks. So that's where you want to be able to take it in, and with an off-road specialist, take the plates off and check the the skid plate is here. This is the bottom. This is the top of the skid plate. You take it off. What's on that skid plate? Is there a lot of oil, liquids, etc.? If that's the case, it might be a vehicle for you to walk away on. Okay? Now, if this is interesting, I do have another top 10 video. I'm going to post that right here to go through in more detail the things that you should be looking for when you're buying an Overland vehicle. Hey everybody, how are you? Okay, let me just pause the video for just a minute because I want to talk to you. According to my YouTube analytics on YouTube Studio, 99.4% of all of my viewers on the channel haven't subscribed yet, which means I could have 1,000 subscribers out there and I just don't know it yet. So like Nate Black says on his channel, if you don't ask, you'll never get it. So today I'm asking you, my viewer of this video, if you found it helpful or any of the other videos that I've created for you have resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, please hit the sub button. I would really appreciate it because my goal for 2025 is to have this channel become monetized. And with viewers like you, I know we can do it. Okay, everybody, thanks very much. Now, let's get back to the video. Okay, now, let's get to the top 10. Number 1, Toyota 4Runner from the years 1996 to 2009. This is the Gen 3 and Gen 4. These are very reliable, generally speaking. They've got great aftermarket support. Lots of modifications can be done on these vehicles. They have solid axles, body on frame, and they also come with V6 options. Now, on the downside of that, you're going to get vehicles that tend to have fairly high mileage. Don't let that scare you, but it is something to think about. And you might also have some significant rust issues on the frame and the body. So just keep that in mind, okay? Again, this is something that you're gonna have to figure out as you go. Okay, number 2, the Jeep Cherokee XJ from 1984 to 2000. Oh, this is a great one. Great things about this vehicle, it's got a really, really good capable engine. The 4-liter inline 6 I wouldn't say it's bulletproof, but it sure is near bulletproof because they did a really, really good job on that engine. It's got solid axles and it's actually a very simple repair. So if you're not extensively mechanically minded, that would be a vehicle to choose. Now, on the downside, a couple of things that you might want to consider. They may be deal breakers for you. You're definitely going to get into rust issues. So you might want to check to see whether the vehicle has been undercoated over the years. The interiors are, let's just say they're less than nice. I think over the course of these 20, 25 years, those interiors could look for an upgrade. So you might consider actually taking out the existing interior and putting in some new seats, front seats and rear seats, just to give you something that's a little bit more comfortable and actually potentially more safer as well. Another downside of this is the unibody construction of the vehicle. It is generally a good idea to be looking at a body on frame for reasons. If you're not sure, hit the YouTube button and figure that out. Or if you're not sure and want to know, put a comment down below and I'll upload that as our next video. Okay, number 3, Toyota Land Cruiser 80 series from 1990 to 97. Now, these vehicles are legendary, and I mean that in the How I Met Your Mother Barney sort of way. These are legend, wait for it, dairy. They're really, really good vehicles. They've got excellent durability. They have a full-time four-wheel drive up. And they also have solid front axles. Okay, so these are pretty hefty vehicles. You'll notice that a lot of these vehicles are used by the United Nations when they're going into remote parts of the world. There's a reason for that. Now, this is the downside. It is difficult to find these under $10,000 in decent condition. You can find them, but they're gonna need some work most likely, okay? And the other potential issue is that these engines are very, very fuel thirsty. They just love to go through it. So keep that in mind when you're buying as well, okay? So there's a trade-off there, but it's a trade-off that you need to decide which one is more important. Okay, number 4. I loved number 4 when this first came out. Oh, there was something, it was so unique as a vehicle. The Nissan Xterra Gen 1 or Gen 2 from 2000 to 2015. These are really, really good looking vehicles in my opinion. There's just something about them that they literally don't make these types of vehicles anymore. So they're really nice. Now, they've got good off-road capability. They do have an optional manual transmission if you're into that, and they are body on frame. On the downside, they don't have particularly good fuel economy, so this should not be considered a daily driver / overland vehicle. And the second generation did have timing chain issues, so you want to look out for those being repaired and how much farther along in the future you might need to change that. Okay, keep that in mind. Number five is the 2003 to 2009 Lexus GX470. Now these are kind of interesting because they're the upgraded versions. They're the more luxury versions of the Toyota 4Runner in particular. They have got a very good V8 engine, quite powerful, and they also have full-time four-wheel drive. Now, the downside of driving something a little bit more luxurious, of course, is the high mileage that you're going to have in these vehicles potentially, and expensive parts, right? Because it is a Lexus, that you're going to have a Lexus tax, right? It's going to go on there. It's not a Toyota tax, it's a Lexus tax. Okay, so that will increase the cost of any repairs that you do. So please keep that in mind when you are purchasing. Number 6, Ford Ranger from years 1993 to 2011. Now, The reason why this is particularly good is that the Ranger is not overly large as a cab. It's got a very good, fairly reliable 4-liter engine. It's got a V6 option. And it does, even now, still has pretty good aftermarket support. The downside of that is it is going to have less cargo area because the cab is smaller, and you are going to have IFS suspension issues that limit the articulation, and the articulation is basically how far the tires can travel between where they would normally sit and how far they can go down to touch ground. Okay, so that might be an issue there for you. Could be, potentially. Keep it in mind nonetheless. Okay, number 7, moving right along here. Number 7, the Mitsubishi Montero from 92 to 2006. Now, this is a pretty good build for sure. It has a comfortable ride. It's got an advanced 4-wheel drive system. It's great. However, the downside is there's a lot less aftermarket support than something like a Jeep or Toyota, and there may be parts availability issues. So you're probably not going to get OEM parts. You'll have to get third-party parts, but even that can be potentially an issue. Okay. Number 8, moving right along. Number 8, the 2006 Chevy Tahoe. V8 power, spacious, solid axles, affordable repairs, generally speaking. However, heavy and poor fuel economy. So this is not something, if you've got bad fuel economy in a vehicle, this is not something that I would recommend as a daily driver / overland vehicle. Okay, if you are going to have something like this, make sure it is a dedicated vehicle only and you're not running around collecting groceries with it. You are just going to spend so much money on gas, so please be careful of that. Number 9, the Land Rover Discovery 3 in particular, the Land Rover Discovery 3. Now, what are some unique features of this one? Well, you do have what is first in class overall is the terrain response system, which is great. It has a very, very good V8 engine from years 2007 to 2009. It's not bulletproof, but it's really, really good. This is a Ford engine used in a couple of their other vehicles as well, and it's very, very reliable. The downside, of course, is that there's the reliability issue potentially with Land Rover, and also V8s are not particularly skimpy when it comes to gasoline usage, okay? Now, I did just do a video specifically on dealing with the reliability issues of a Land Rover 3 because, let's face it, it's my favorite. It really is. It's really the one that I absolutely love, and it's my dream car, and someday, mark my words, I'm going to own one. Okay? Number nine, the vehicle that I currently own, the 2004 Hyundai Terracan. Now, these vehicles are not necessarily North America market. You're going to find these in India, Russia, parts of Asia, and Australia. So for my people down south, g'day everybody. The Terracan, the Terracan, I love it. It's great. It's comfortable. It's got a great ride. It's cheap to repair. The downside is it is a little dated in terms of its interior, the dashboard, etc. And because it is old, you've got rusting issues and stuff like that that you need to be considering. So that's it, everybody. What do you like? Put a comment down below. Most appreciated. Thanks very much, everybody. Peace. Live life well.